And our last story of the night is behind the pole. And if you watched the stream last night, you will know that it's a little bit of a struggle to do a behind the pole because really not a whole lot happened. You had about 50 people that marched 1.8 miles down 4th Avenue South. They danced, had a little country music hoedown. We'll get into that a little bit later. Outside of the SPOG barn. By the way, SPOG calls it a barn. They called it a barn in the tweet. It's like, I could go there, but I'm not. I'll behave. Barn, SPOG, I'll behave. They made low-hanging fruit. And in my mind, if for the protesters, it was a huge success. Now, I know that if Mike Solon was on the comments right now, that would melt my brain if Mike Solon ever came on the comments. But if Mike Solon came on the comments, I'm sure it would be, we won. And I'm like, oh, no, 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 no. You know why the protesters won? Because the city of Seattle wasted so much friggin' money yesterday on nothing. And, you know, the protesters could have not even showed up. They could have just kind of gathered up there at King Street Station and gone home. And there was already W because we're clutching our pearls. And so with that, I'm going to roll behind the pole. Oh, wait a minute. I'm not going to roll behind the pole. I need to explain what behind the pole is. Especially if you're newer to our streams. So we have this thing called Poll Cam, and I know there were people that had never watched our streams before because I could see comments on Sunday like, holy shit, how tall is this guy? Like, how is he getting these shots? And so we have the camera, and it's on a pole, and the pole is from 9 feet to 16 feet, and then if I hold it all the way up to here, I could actually get about 20 feet if I were to extend it all the way up. And if people have watched me, they know I did like all 1.8 miles there and back like this. So it's a great workout. That's how we get those shots. However, you see what I don't see because I'm still 6 feet from the ground. So what I see, particularly if it's in a march, is the back of a lot of people's heads where everybody's seeing other stuff, which is why I always get frustrated when people are like, he always turns the camera when shit's happening. And it's like, I'm not seeing what the camera's seeing. So it's like, I heard a noise. I turned the camera. Then I turned back. It's like, why is this so hard to understand? Anyway, I have a camera up on the top of my head, which makes me look like a scary black block Teletubby. And then we also have another camera that is mounted on the pole. But that camera that's mounted on the pole is basically at my eye level. And so that's what behind the pole is. You get to see this video that you actually didn't see. And with that explanation, we'll go ahead behind the pole. Small contingent of bike officers down here, about 10, and then one other individual. So right now, as far as police presence is concerned, there's about 20 officers. I've become a lot more convinced that SPD is actually watching our stream right now. I still request the polka. I'm going to consider the playing of Achy Breaky Heart Psychological Torture. Maybe the Grundy County song? Is that it? The Grundy County song, or Hey Little Bit on the Dead Inside? Because that would be psychological torture.
You're so pretty. Talking about like, I don't know, like some people like a cop. Like we need a cop like we're doing before.
All right, sorry about all the jiggles. Jennifer, I love that couple holding hands.
That's so sweet.
It's really cute. And I even commented on the stream. So I had the camera on the pole was off at that moment because it's like there's no reason to run it. And I saw this and I was like, it just everything that's going on in the world, right? And here's this couple is holding hands marching back. And I actually turned the camera on and commented on the stream. It's like I'm seeing something right now which is just really amazing and you can't see it because of pole cam. And so I really wanted to add that to behind the pole. So if you missed part of the stream for our audience, what happened was marchers arrived and like nothing happened and SPD started playing country music again. They actually started playing the country music when I was away and like trying to find where SPD was because they had kind of disappeared from all sides. And then I heard the music playing and I'm like, oh, here we go. And I go over there and just know they're playing music. But it was the next thing that happened, which is really interesting for me because they played an ad for the Seattle Police Officers Guild.
Oh, Lord.
And in the ad, what basically it was, we hope you enjoy the music that is playing. And since you are enjoying this music, you could always make a donation to the Seattle Police Officers Guild at this URL. Now, one thing that jumped out at me when they did this is admitting, and it's like on multiple recordings, that this was a live public broadcast of copyrighted music for the pleasure of people, and they are soliciting money for that. There's this organization called ASCAP, and like the head of ASCAP would cut the liver out of his own grandmother if he thought that his grandmother was singing Happy Birthday and somebody heard it walking past the sidewalk. I mean, they are a god-awful organization to deal with. And I say that as somebody who has been in video production and yada, yada, yada for over a decade. ASCAP is a nightmare. ASCAP would not be pleased after that commercial was played and then all the other copyrighted material that they played for apparently a public performance for the enjoyment of the people outside.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know what to say about this anymore. Like, I don't know. The best part of the entire thing is definitely the people holding hands because I am not a mushy person or sentimental by any means, but that got me a little bit. Like,
did it give you the feels, Jennifer?
A little bit, but I'll shake it off. I'm good. But the fact that they're like soliciting donations and breaking the law at the same time is like pretty classic to me. Yeah.
It's a little surprising to me, right? Because if I think of someone like Mike Sullivan, I mean, this is a guy who could just pick up the phone and be on Fox News tomorrow, right? Yeah. He does not come across to me as somebody who isn't media savvy. And they don't come across, like they make these slick videos, right? I don't know what kind of slick video they're going to be able to make from this, but they make these slick videos. And like to make just such a colossal blunder. Now, I'm certainly not going to report them to ASCAP or share any of those videos because I think it's pointless. But I will point out that they have certainly broke ASCAP rules. And of what I know of ASCAP, it's something they would potentially drop the hammer down on them and go, hey, you owe us money.
Oh, there goes their donations then.
I guess there goes their donations. Although I don't know how many donations that they got. The other thing I kind of found amusing is, right, there was tweets from SPOG on that they basically drove away the protesters because of the country music playing. And I'm like, I don't know what you saw, but we were filming for like over an hour of them dancing in the street. And
sorry.
The other thing is, we've been razzed by the Seattle police. We've been razzed by Mike Solon. They say they watch the streams. We generally know that they're watching the streams. And something that wasn't lost on me or anybody who was live on that stream is that some of the comments started going, they should play Achy Breaky Heart. I made the comment of like, oh, for the love of God, please don't play Achy Breaky Heart. And like 60 seconds later, Achy Breaky Heart is playing.
I'm sorry, but playing that song should be punishable by law.
I,
I
and I
apologize
will say,
to
and
Cyrus out there.
and I will say, because I lived in Texas for 8 years, I went from first wave, new wave to country music. I mean, that's like, right? And then I went from country music to grunge.
Oh, that's a leap. I used to
That's
work with radio, so everybody always assumed I loved country music, but I actually can't stand it unless it's like old music, like David Allan Coe, Hank Williams, stuff like that, Johnny Cash. I'm all right with that, but the newer stuff I can't do.
Well, and that's it. And yes, and I agree with that. And I consider like the golden age of country music kind of ends when Shania Twain showed up. I think you had this period in the 80s and the early 90s where country music was just, right, it was nationally popular, but it was still country music. And then you had kind of this rockabilly, southern rock blending in. You had artists like Travis Tritt, and
Yeah,
Garth Brooks wasn't rockabilly, but they were starting to pull a little bit of pop, but it was still country. And then
yeah.
Shania Twain showed up and wrecked it for everybody.
Man, I feel like a woman and everything went to hell.
Which
But
for
yeah,
pop music, it's fine, right? It was, but she was like, I'm a country artist, and the people pushing her were going, she's a country artist. She's a country artist. Like, country, and that pushed me over to grunge. So, but I will say on the subject of Achy Breaky Heart, because I always will defend Billy Ray Cyrus on this, although I know that he unleashed his daughter on our
yes.
on the planet. He is a prolific songwriter. He has
Yeah.
written many songs that
Mhm.
are beautiful and have amazing lyrics. In a way, it's a shame that he will probably always be remembered for Achy Breaky
Right.
Heart because
Yeah.
it negates actually a lot of his contributions to country music as a prolific songwriter. And he hasn't written just country songs, he's written pop songs and rock songs and jazz. And he's actually a really accomplished musician. And of what I've heard, he's just a pretty down to earth, kind of cool guy.
Yeah, I just it's really hard to get past achy breaky heart and that mullet. Like, I mean, it's a lot to get over for a person. So I don't know.
I also found it interesting that they closed with Stars and Stripes Forever, which I
Oh,
guess they're probably focusing more on the Stars and Stripes Forever and not that Joe Biden's about ready to become the 46th president, because I just can't see as a freaking Tucker Carlson guest that Mike Solin's really happy about how the election went.
no, I would guess that he's probably not at all.